granted bail to Olamide Thomas, an activist accused of threatening Sheikh Tinubu, the son of Nigeria's president, and Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun, via social media. Justice Emeka Nwite, in his ruling on Monday, approved a 10 million naira bail for Thomas, with one surety in the same sum. In his ruling, Justice Nwite noted that there was no substantial evidence from the prosecution to suggest that Thomas would attempt to flee or interfere with her trial. He stated that after a careful examination of the affidavit evidence of both the defendant and the complainant, it was in the interest of justice to grant bail under the conditions set. The judge required the surety to provide an affidavit of means and present a tax clearance certificate from the past 3 years. Additionally, the surety must reside within the court's jurisdiction and verify their address. Both Thomas and her surety must deposit 2 recent passport photographs with the court registrar. The case had been adjourned to February 18 for trial. Still on Monday, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board has remitted over 6 billion naira to the federal government coffers as part of its operating surplus after conduct of the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The board also revealed that it has so far contributed over 50 billion naira as an operating surplus to the National Treasury over the past 7 years under the watch of Professor Ishaq Oloyede as Registrar and Chief Executive Officer. This is contained in a bulletin of the board made available to newsmen in Abuja. Dr. Fabian Benjamin, according to JAM 2024, represents a pivotal moment marking a time to reap the rewards of the various innovations the board has implemented. He noted that one area where the board has demonstrated commendable courage over the years is in enhancing accountability, transparency and openness in its financial practices. He stressed that since 2017, the board had consistently provided weekly income and expenditure report for public scrutiny, saying while looking ahead to 2025, the board reaffirmed its commitment to maintaining accountability, transparency and openness in all financial dealings. It revealed that in 2024, the board generated a total income of 22 billion naira, saying from this amount it expended over 18 billion naira towards conducting examinations, paid service providers and covering essential expenses, including staff claims amounting to over 2 billion naira. In 2024, the bulletin says the board remitted 6 billion naira to the government, noting that when combined with the 1,500 naira reduction per form for candidates, multiplied by the number of candidates that benefited in 2024, the total remittance by JAM would amount to 9 billion naira. On Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu congratulated John Mahama on his swearing-in as Ghana's president, saying Nigeria will support the West African country. Mahama was inaugurated on Tuesday in Accra, marking his return to office years after 7 years where he served as Ghana's president. Tinubu, who was among world leaders at the event, noted his friendship between him and Mahama, pledging Nigeria's backing for Ghana. President Tinubu, who was a special guest at the inauguration, said he shared a deep friendship with John Mahama, a reason he's around to work with him. Mahama, who was president of Ghana between 2012 and early 2017, stormed back to power after he defeated Mahamudu Bawumia of the then-ruling New Patriotic Party. He polled over 50% of the vote cast to coast home to victory. A landmark Tinubu shows reflects the deepening root of democracy in Africa. The president said Mahama's return to power lays to bed the question of whether Ghana and Africa are capable of democratic and productive endeavors. According to him, Ghana has answered that question resoundingly. He said it is time that Africa's critics stop forgetting the strides Ghana, Nigeria and others have made by continuing to ask the countries to prove themselves. Still on Tuesday, the Senate Committee on Appropriations has proposed January 31st as the target date for the National Assembly to submit and potentially pass the 49.7 trillion naira 2025 budget. The committee declared that it will suspend the plenary for 2 weeks upon resumption on the 14th of January 2025 to allow all agencies of government to defend their estimate before the National Assembly. It has also fixed Thursday to hold an open day on the budget consideration, which will ignore input from various stakeholders and civil society organizations. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Adeola Olamilekan, stated this during a meeting with chairmen of all standing committees in the Senate to discuss the procedures for budget consideration. Acknowledging the short time frame, Olamilekan assured that the Senate would work diligently to meet the January 31st deadline, striving to ensure the budget meets the aspiration of the Nigerian people. On Wednesday, the National Assembly expressed serious concern over the huge discrepancies in the size of the recurrent expenditure relative to capital expenditure and the low level of fund releases for capital projects for ministries, departments and agencies in the 2024 budget that is ongoing. In the joint sitting of the chairman of the Senate and House Committees on Appropriation and the Presidential Economic Team on consideration of the 2025 Appropriation Bill, Senator Solomon Adeola and Honorable Abubakar Bichi, chairmen of Senate and House Committees, respectively agreed that the Economic Team should take urgent steps to release more funds for capital projects, as this is a major way for the people to feel the impact of government. Correspondent Kulujo reports that the position of the National Assembly followed the report of the Economic Team led by Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, showed that overall so far 2024 budget performance was 43%, with recurrent expenditure achieving 100%, while the capital budget only managed 25% performance. Senator Adeola said he is an advocate for drastic reduction on the ratio of recurrent expenditure to capital in the budget from the present level of about 80% for recurrent and 20% for capital to at least 60% to 40%, stressing that capital projects in the budget and the implementation is a major spur for economic growth and direct impact on the people. Still on Wednesday, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in detention, rejected the federal government's request to resume his trial. This stance was revealed by Kanu's lead counsel, Aloy Ejimakor, in a post shared on social media. Kanu's legal team maintains that the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, should recuse herself from the case, citing an earlier order from September 24, 2024, which they argue remains valid. According to Ejimakor, the decision for Justice Nyako to step aside was never overturned by any court and is still binding. He maintained that Justice Nyako recusal order entered on September 24, 2024 remains in effect and has not been nullified by any competent court. The lawyer for the accused the prosecution of attempting to mislead the court, asserting that Kanu has no case before Justice Nyako anymore. According to Ejimakor, as of September 24, 2024, the defendant no longer has any case to answer before Justice Binta Nyako. Nnamdi Kanu, facing 7 charges of alleged treasonable felony and terrorism, has pleaded not guilty to the accusations. He was initially arrested on October 14, 2015 after returning to Nigeria from the UK. He was later granted bail in 2017 on health grounds but fled the country following a military raid on his home. Kanu was subsequently rearrested in Kenya in 2021 and brought back to Nigeria, where he had since been detained. During the last court session on September 24, 2024, Kanu requested that Justice Nyako recuse herself, citing a lack of confidence in the handling of the case. On Thursday, the economic team of the Tinubu's led administration met with the Senate Committee on Appropriation for the review of the 2024 budget and outlook for the 2025 appropriation. The economic team, which was led by the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has in attendance the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, DG Budget, Accountant General of the Federation, among others. The Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriation, Olamilekan Adeola, in his opening remarks said the session was organized to brainstorm with the team on the performance of the 2024 budget and to have an outlook of the 2025 appropriation, which is currently before the National Assembly. He commended President Bola Tinubu's economic policies, saying it has restored the dwindling hope of most Nigerians. Speaking on the country's economic outlook, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, attributed the feat achieved in the economic sector to the support of the National Assembly, just as he highlighted some of the achievements recorded so far. Also, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, and the Director General of Budget Office shed more light on the performance of the 2024 budget and overview of 2015 budget presently before the National Assembly. Still on Thursday, issues confronting Nigeria's telecom sector may be near an end as the federal government said it has received an interim report on the sustainability of the telecoms industry, especially on the improved connectivity. It was announced by the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, the chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, Benga Adebayo, equally confirms that the industry was working on a sustainability report. Indeed, the sustainability report is expected to make recommendations on the raging issue of tariff review being clamored by the telecom operators, which claim that the industry's sustainability faces a severe threat with the current tariff regime. Accepting the interim report, Tijani said the government would strive to strike a balance between the sustainability of the telecom sector and the availability of connectivity for Nigerians. The minister had said that the government was looking at a medium to long-term solution in response to the request for a tariff increase by the telecom operators. According to him, the study by KPMG was to identify issues around the sustainability of the telecom sector and what the government would need to do to support the industry. On Friday, former President Olusegun Obasanjo disclosed that his attitude of not keeping quiet on national and international issues led him to jail under the military junta of the late head of state, General Sani Abacha, in 1995. Obasanjo also hinted that the quest to save Nigeria from an imminent disintegration made him to seek the presidency in 1999. Admitting that he had settled into agriculture after his military service at age 42 before the quest came. Speaking during an interactive session with 15 young male and female future Africa leaders drawn from different parts of the continent at his Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Obasanjo taxed the youth on positive leadership roles for the continent. In a statement by his special assistant on media, Kainde Akinyemi, the former president spoke when the budding youth under the aegis of Future Africa Leaders Foundation came with the 10 winners of the prestigious and life-changing Future Africa Leaders Awards. He said his prison experience was part on the challenges of life he personally had, and the journey to it started with his inability to always keep mute. Still on Friday, the Minister of Works, Engineer Nweze David Umahi, directed the contractor handling some part of the East-West Road project to deploy more resources to hasten the pace of work or face rescoping. The minister stated this while inspecting the progress of work on the project, just as he reminded the contractor that he has up to the end of April to complete a section of the carriageway, or the contract will be rescoped and re-awarded. Engineer Umahi, who began the inspection of the project, was also at the Enugu-Port Harcourt Dual Carriageway Section 3, where he also applauded the contractor on the quality of work, while restating the directive of President Bola Tinubu on the need for speedy completion of both the new and the inherited project. He said the ministry under him has decided to make public those who are delaying the project approved by the government so that the National Assembly will know who to invite for questioning. Umahi also denied reports that the ministry had abandoned some of the projects inherited from the past administration, confirming that all hands are on deck to ensure timely and speedy completion of all projects. And that's all we have on Tracking the Week.